Hello my dear friends. Imagine stepping into a grand Roman bath, where sunlight filters through intricate skylights, casting a warm glow on polished marble floors. The ambient sounds of laughter and splashing water fill the air, mingling with the scent of fragrant oils wafting from nearby vials. You can almost feel the weight lifting from your shoulders as you immerse yourself in the comforting warmth of the tepidarium, the heated room designed to ease tension and promote relaxation. But here's the twist: you probably once survived this experience unscathed. The elegance of ancient Roman baths was often overshadowed by their unsanitary conditions. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Imagine the cacophony of voices echoing off the stone walls, the steam rising in thick clouds as people from all walks of life gather to cleanse not just their bodies, but their souls in this communal setting. These public baths were not merely places to scrub away the grime of the day. They were vibrant social hubs, where politics, friendships, and even romantic encounters happened. Luxurious and inviting, Roman baths offered a sense of belonging to those who entered. Yet, beneath the shimmering surface of tiled pools and expertly crafted columns lay a murky truth that many chose to ignore. To understand this contrast, we must consider the architectural marvels that defined these baths. The grandeur of structures like the baths of Caracalla and the baths of Diocletian drew thousands in, while their lavish design was a testament to Roman engineering prowess. Soaring domes, intricate mosaics, and expansive atriums created an illusion of a perfect, sanitized environment. Yet, the reality was far from pristine. The maintenance of these massive complexes posed a significant challenge, with plumbing systems that were innovative for their time but often broke down, leading to the accumulation of waste and odomes. The hidden truth was that while you immersed yourself in the soothing waters, you might have been sharing the bath with others who, unlike you, had not bathed in days. The Romans had a very different understanding of cleanliness compared to modern standards. They believed in the purifying power of the baths, but many didn't practice personal hygiene regularly. The concept of bathing was tied more to social interaction than to cleanliness. As you wander deeper into this realm of steam and chatter, think about the historical context that made such experiences acceptable. Romans were enamored with the idea of public baths as places of relaxation and rejuvenation. Still, their understanding of hygiene was limited, influenced by prevailing beliefs about miasma, the idea that bad air caused disease. This notion blurred the line between what was considered clean and dirty, allowing people to revel in the comfort of their communal spaces, blissfully unaware of the underlying issues that permeated their society. Breathe in the atmosphere as you imagine the camaraderie and connection formed within these walls. Each splash of water and every burst of laughter represents not just a moment of joy, but a deeper societal fabric woven together by shared experiences. The allure of the Roman bath was a captivating blend of beauty, social engagement, and the comforting embrace of warm water. Yet, as we peel away the layers of glamour, we must confront the reality that lurked just below the surfacey truth that reminds us that even in the most splendid settings, imperfections and discomforts are never too far away. As we move forward, let's delve into the architectural marvels that defined these public baths and explore how their design both enchanted visitors and concealed their underlying complexities. As you step into the legacy of ancient Roman architecture, picture the sheer grandeur of the public baths, towering structures that dominated the skyline of cities like Rome, Pompeii, and Ostia. These magnificent edifices, built with ambition and creativity, were not just places to bathe, they were a testament to the engineering prowess of the Romans. You can almost hear the echo of chisels against stone and feel the excitement of workers as they sculpted these monumental spaces, designed to awe and inspire. The baths of Caracalla, for instance, were a spectacle of luxury and innovation. Imagine walking through the colossal entrance, your senses overwhelmed by the sight of towering columns and vibrant mosaics depicting scenes from mythology. The sheer scale of these baths, capable of accommodating over 1,600 bathers at a time, reflects not only the Roman love for public bathing but also their desire to showcase the empire's might. Yet, behind this grandeur lies a shocking reality: the upkeep of such massive structures was a logistical nightmare. While the Romans utilized advanced engineering techniques, such as aqueducts to supply fresh water and hypocausts to heat the floors, maintenance was often inadequate. Crumbling walls and cracked tiles were common, and the beautiful mosaics that adorned the floors often became slippery with algae. As enchanting as these baths were, the reality was that they often fell short of the pristine conditions expected in modern spa retreats. The earlier belief in the restorative powers of warm water and steam misled many into disregarding basic hygiene practices. After all, who needed to scrub down when surrounded by such opulence? The myth of cleanliness was perpetuated by the allure of the baths themselves. When you entered these spaces, the echo of laughter and the warm steam wrapped around you like a comforting blanket, making it easy to forget the reality of shared waters. The Romans believed in the therapeutic benefits of bathing, yet many of them soaked alongside others who might not have enjoyed the same level of personal cleanliness. This disconnect raises questions about how these Romans viewed their own health and well-being. The prevailing thought was that the warm, mineral-rich waters would cleanse the body of impurities, an idea rooted in their understanding of what constituted a healthy lifestyle. The practice of bathing was intimately tied to their social interactions, yet it also reflected their naivety regarding hygiene. They lacked a comprehensive understanding of germs and disease, which meant that issues like skin infections and illnesses were often overlooked or misattributed to other causes. As you imagine the bustling activity within these baths, think about the atmosphere, the lively chatter of bathers, the splashes of water, the sudden bursts of laughter, all echoing through the grand hallways. The Roman baths were designed as social hubs, where people came not just to cleanse but to connect, share news, and engage in politics. Yet, this vibrant social life belied a darker reality. The gossip that flowed as freely as the water often led to scandal, and the very closeness that fostered friendship could also breed jealousy and conflict. The bathhouses were meticulously designed to provide a balance of beauty and functionality. The frigidarium offered cold plunges to invigorate the senses, while the coldarium enveloped bathers in soothing warmth. But amid these fanciful spaces lay the harsh truth that many bathers were oblivious to their surroundings. The very essence of community bathing was steeped in shared experiences that were not always pleasant. The architectural innovations of the Roman baths were impressive, showcasing the empire's advanced understanding of construction and design. However, they also masked the reality of the conditions within, where hygiene standards were far from what we would deem acceptable today. The very structures that promised relaxation and rejuvenation often held hidden layers of neglect and discomfort, reminding us that beneath the opulence, life was as messy and imperfect as it is today. Next, we will delve into the bathing rituals that reflected the complex social hierarchy of ancient Rome, revealing how access to these luxurious settings was often dictated by status, and what that meant for the common populace. As you navigate the intricacies of Roman society, consider how the public baths were microcosms of the larger social hierarchy. These sprawling complexes offered a stage for a unique blend of social interaction, where the lines between the elite and the everyday citizen blurred. Imagine stepping into the bathhouse, where the air is thick with steam and chatter, a melting pot of voices and laughter. Here, for a moment, one could forget about social rankings at least on the surface. The glamour of the baths was often reserved for the wealthy elite, who enjoyed the finest amenities and services. Picture a wealthy senator adorned in fine linen, reclining on marble benches, while attendants, likely slaves, or lower-status individuals, catered to his every need. He dipped his toes into the warm waters, savouring the luxury of being bathed and massaged with fragrant oils. To him, the baths were not just a place for cleansing but an essential part of his social ritual, a space to network and engage with fellow elites. However, the reality was far less egalitarian. While the wealthy had access to private rooms and specialized services, the average citizen often experienced the baths in a much different manner. Imagine the crowds of common folk rushing in to share a moment of warmth and relaxation, their laughter mingling with the splashes of water. Yet, the experience was often one of inconvenience, with long waits for entry and overcrowded pools. The communal aspect of bathing could feel suffocating, as the air filled with the scent of sweat and the sounds of bodies splashing and jostling for space. This contrast brings us to the heart of the Roman worldview regarding status and cleanliness. The belief in the virtue of bathing was largely tied to one's social standing. The wealthy could afford the luxury of cleanliness and leisure, while the poor often had to sacrifice hygiene for the sake of community. They were the ones who shared the waters with those who perhaps didn't bathe as frequently, creating a shared experience that could be both bonding and uncomfortable. Bathing became less about individual hygiene and more about social cohesion, a bonding experience marked by the unpredictability of others' cleanliness. The Romans believed that regular bathing was essential not only for hygiene but for one's overall well-being. Yet, as you reflect on this belief, it is evident that the disparity in access to these luxurious amenities created an unspoken tension. The elite's ability to retreat into private spaces within the baths allowed them to maintain an aura of superiority, while the working classes were left to navigate the shared facilities, often grappling with the realities of overcrowding and unsanitary conditions. In this social hierarchy, the bathhouses also acted as a stage for political maneuvering. Imagine the senators and important figures discussing the affairs of the state, their voices echoing through the humid air, while the common people surrounded them, eager to catch a glimpse of the powerful. The baths became a theatre of power dynamics, where status was both flaunted and negotiated. Yet, among the discussions of political machinations and societal gossip, the uncomfortable truth remained. Behind the glamour of social interaction lay the reality of shared waters, illness, and the very human vulnerabilities that connected them all. The bathing rituals themselves were nothing short of fascinating. Picture the sequence of entering the frigidarium, the cold room designed to shock the body awake, before moving into the tepidarium to seek comfort in warmth, and finally into the coldarium, where the heat enveloped you like a comforting embrace. This process was not just a ritual of cleanliness, it was a social performance, where each individual played a role in the grand narrative of Roman identity. As we deepen our exploration into the sounds that filled these large, echoing spaces, we can appreciate how the auditory landscape of the baths reflected the complexities of this social dancer communities forged in warmth and laughter, but underpinned by the realities of shared discomfort. As you step into the lively soundscape of the Roman baths, imagine the symphony of splashes, laughter, and spirited conversations enveloping you like a warm embrace. The air is thick with steam, rising in billowing clouds that distort the figures around you. Here, in this communal space, sounds blend into a communal rhythm that speaks to both the joy and chaos of shared bathing experiences. The echoes of jubilant voices bounce off the tiled walls, creating an atmosphere charged with energy and a sense of belonging. Yet, beneath this vibrant exterior lies a shocking truth, the reality of overcrowding and the less than pleasant sounds that accompanied such gatherings. While you might envision a serene escape, the actual experience could be quite discordant. Picture the cacophony of water splash, bodies bumping into one another, and the occasional raised voice, or perhaps a disagreement or laughter that veers into raucousness. In this communal atmosphere, personal space was a luxury few could afford. The Romans, who prided themselves on their sophisticated social structures, often found themselves navigating a chaotic environment at the baths. The very essence of community bathing intended to foster connections could also lead to discomfort and awkwardness. The shared pools, where bathers came together to cleanse, often became a breeding ground for noise and commotion, with sounds of water sloshing mingling with animated chatter about politics, gossip, and the latest happenings of the day. Consider the implications of this auditory landscape. Public baths, while serving as centers of relaxation and socialization, were also a space where the line between intimacy and intrusion blurred. The sound of someone else's conversation could easily morph from a casual chat into a source of annoyance, particularly in cramped quarters. The excitement of being part of a bustling community was often accompanied by the discomfort of shared experiences, where individuals had to reconcile their desires for connection with the realities of personal boundaries. In stark contrast to the picturesque imagery often associated with Roman baths, the sounds of illness and discomfort often permeated through the joyous noise. Imagine the whispers of concern about potential contagions, as bathers shared their intimate stories and vulnerabilities. The Romans were largely unaware of the germ theory that would come centuries later, and the concept of hygiene was still tied to social status and access to private facilities. The proximity of bodies in the water, while fostering camaraderie, also raised questions about the cleanliness of the shared environment. As you listen to the sounds of the bath, you can almost imagine the underlying tension as bathers navigated their social standings through conversation. The echoes of laughter may mask the reality of discomfort and uncertainty that comes with sharing intimate spaces with strangers. The audacity to engage in deep discussions while sharing the waters reveals a unique blend of intimacy and public life that defined the Roman experience. Reflecting on the sounds of the baths highlights the contrasts inherent in this social practice. Where the glittering image of relaxation and social harmony shines bright, the reality of communal bathing often reveals a series of discomforts, interconnected lives, and shared vulnerabilities. The very essence of being human, our need for connection, and the inherent awkwardness that often accompanies it came to life in these bustling bathhouses. Next, we will explore this enchanting scents that wafted through the bathhouses, from sweet perfumes to the pungent reality of the bathing experience itself, and how these contrasting aromas shape the Roman understanding of cleanliness and social interaction. As you breathe in the air of the Roman baths, let your imagination wander to the enchanting scents that filled these grand spaces, from the delicate fragrance of oils and perfumes to the more pungent stench of humanity. The bathhouse was a sensory delight, where fragrant aromas mingled with the warm, humid air, creating an atmosphere that promised relaxation and rejuvenation. Imagine the rich notes of lavender, rosemary, and myrrh wafting through the steam, inviting you to unwind and let go of your daily worries. In this world of aromatic indulgence, the elites enjoyed the finest oils, Picture a wealthy Roman woman, her skin gleaming with perfumed oils as she reclines on a marble bench, her attendants diligently massaging her shoulders. Each application of oil was like a delicate caress, meant to enhance not only her beauty, but also her status. These luxurious scents painted an image of opulence and refinement, offering an illusion of cleanliness that many bathers clung to. However, the reality lurking beneath this fragrant veneer was quite stark. The very act of communal bathing, while associated with cleanliness, was often contradictory. The baths themselves were crowded, and as countless bodies soaked in the same water, the air could quickly become thick with the smell of sweat, dirt, and damp clothing. Imagine the overwhelming odor of mingled humanity, a pungent reminder that not all bathers shared the same understanding of hygiene. While perfumed oils were meant to enhance one's experience, they could only do so much to mask the underlying realities of the bathhouse. The Romans didn't have modern plumbing, and while water flowed from aqueducts and filled the pools, it was often used repeatedly, leading to a less than ideal situation for maintaining cleanliness. The scents of fragrant oils mingled with the less pleasant odors of unwashed bodies, creating an experience that could be both intoxicating and disconcerting. This blend of scents reveals the Roman worldview on cleanliness and the rituals surrounding it. The act of bathing was not merely about washing away dirt, it was about participating in a communal experience that established social ties. The Romans believed that the warm water and soothing scents could purify the mind and body, allowing bathers to emerge renewed. Yet, the truth of shared bathing meant that personal hygiene was often sacrificed in the name of social interaction. Think about how the Romans embraced the concept of scent as a means of defining status. The wealthy could afford the finest oils, while the lower classes made do with whatever they could find. In a way, the bathhouse served as a microcosm of Roman society, where the aromatic experience was not just a personal indulgence, but a public display of wealth and prestige. The sweet scents of luxury were often overpowered by the realities of a crowded bath, where personal standards varied widely. Delve deeper into the socio-political implications of these aromatic experiences. The practice of applying oils was not only a means of beautification but also a ritualistic behavior that reinforced social hierarchies. The elite flaunted their resources, while the lower classes navigated the same waters, often resigning themselves to the discomfort of overcrowding and the mingling of scents that accompanied communal bathing. As you imagine the air thick with fragrances and the reality of shared spaces, consider how the Romans managed to balance the rituals of cleanliness with the realities of social engagement. The dichotomy of pleasant scents and unpleasant truths reflects the complexities of human interaction, an essential reminder that even in the most glamorous settings, the fabric of society is interwoven with imperfections and contradictions. Now, as we continue our journey, we will turn our attention to the often overlooked role of slaves in the bathhouse, delving into how their presence shaped the experience of bathing and the stark reality of the luxurious lives enjoyed by the elite. As you step further into the world of Roman baths, it is vital to consider the often invisible workforce that made these lavish experiences possible, the slaves who toiled in the warm, steamy shadows. Picture yourself walking through the bustling corridors of a grand bathhouse, the air thick with steam and the mingling scents of oils and sweat. In this vibrant atmosphere, the bathers are oblivious to the hard labor, dedication, and suffering of the slaves who ensured their enjoyment and comfort. Imagine a young slave, perhaps no older than 15, bustling from one room to another, carrying heavy buckets of warm water, preparing the luxurious spaces for the wealthy patrons who would soon arrive. This was not merely a job, it was a life of servitude, marked by long hours of grueling work in the heat. The slaves often captured in wars or born into servitude were the unsung heroes of the bathing rituals, their contributions hidden beneath the glamorous surface of Roman society. While the elite basked in the warmth of the caldarium, enjoying massages and the finest oils, the slaves worked tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure that everything ran smoothly. They scrubbed the floors, filled the pools, and maintained the facilities, all while enduring the scornful glances and dismissive attitudes of those who reveled in luxury. Theirs was a harsh reality, starkly contrasting with the carefree enjoyment of the bathers who surrounded them. This juxtaposition highlights a shocking truth. The very opulence of Roman public baths was built on the backs of those who were often seen as less than human. The environment of the baths, filled with laughter and relaxation, was a space where social hierarchies were reinforced. The wealthy waded in warm waters, their bodies adorned with fragrant oils, while the slaves remained out of sight, relegated to the background of this social tableau. The Romans, with their complex social structures, accepted this system as natural. The belief that slaves were essential for maintaining the luxuries of life allowed for a cultural blind spot about the human cost of such opulence. For the ruling class, enjoying the baths was a mark of status and refinement, while the labor of slaves was often taken for granted. It was a system that flourished on inequality, with the elite celebrating communal bathing while ignoring the realities of those who served them. Consider how the lives of these slaves were intertwined with the very essence of Roman bathing culture. The baths served not only as a place for relaxation but also as a reflection of societal values, where the disparity between the powerful and the powerless was made evident. Bathing, which was supposed to represent rejuvenation and connection, became a platform for showcasing privilege and entitlement. The very fabric of Roman society was woven with the threads of exploitation, and the bathhouses highlighted this troubling truth. While some slaves may have found moments of camaraderie with fellow workers within these communal spaces, they were ultimately bound to a life of servitude that shaped their experiences in profound ways. The rituals of bathing often highlighted their subjugation, revealing how the very act of relaxation for the wealthy came at a significant moral cost. As you reflect on the role of slaves in the public baths, consider how their contributions shaped social interactions and the experiences of the elites. The laughter that echoed off the walls was often accompanied by the silent struggles of those who served, reminding us that history is not merely a tale of the powerful but also a story of those who were overshadowed. Moving forward, we will delve into the beliefs surrounding health and wellness that permeated the Roman bathing culture, exploring how these practices intertwined effective treatments with bizarre and sometimes misguided remedies. As you immerse yourself in the beliefs surrounding health and wellness in ancient Rome, picture the vibrant atmosphere of the baths as a sanctuary for rejuvenation, where the warm waters promised not just relaxation, but healing. The Romans held a deep belief in the therapeutic powers of bathing, viewing it as an essential component of a healthy lifestyle. You can almost feel the soothing warmth enveloping you, a promise of relief from the stresses of daily life, as bathers slipped into the waters with hopes for physical and mental renewal. The rituals in these baths were intricate and deliberate, often combining various elements of bathing to enhance well-being. Imagine the experience of moving from the frigidarium, where the cold water invigorated the senses, into the tepidarium, where the mild warmth relaxed muscles, and finally into the coldarium, where the heat opened pores and released impurities. This carefully orchestrated sequence was believed to promote overall health, a practice that aligned with the Romans' understanding of balance and moderation. Yet, within this seemingly harmonious pursuit of wellness, hidden truths lurked. While many of the bathing practices were beneficial, the Romans also engaged in some rather bizarre and questionable health remedies that reflect their limited understanding of medicine. Picture bathers indulging not just in warm water, but in the application of strange concoctions, everything from crushed herbs to animal excrement, believing these rituals would cure ailments or enhance beauty. The idea that bathing could be paired with such eccentric treatments underscores a shocking reality, the intersection of genuine health practices and the absurdity of misguided beliefs. The Romans were deeply influenced by the prevailing theories of health, particularly the humoral theory, which posited that the balance of bodily fluids, blood, phlegm, black bile and yellow bile determined one's health. In their quest for wellness, bathers often turned to remedies that aimed to restore this balance, even if the methods were far from effective. Imagine the sight of individuals soaking alongside others, their bodies not only in warm water but smeared with unguents made from questionable ingredients, all in the name of maintaining a healthy body. Among the more eccentric practices were the applications of oils infused with various herbs, believed to possess medicinal properties. Bathers would often engage in massages using these concoctions, hoping to relieve ailments or simply improve their appearance. Yet, as soothing as these oils might have seemed, the reality of shared bathing meant that the very oils designed to enhance health could also spread infections and illness among the bathers. The irony of seeking health in communal waters often belied the unsanitary conditions in which they found themselves. To the Romans, bathing was synonymous with purity and health, and they considered it a crucial part of their daily routine. Yet their understanding of cleanliness did not extend to the awareness of germs. They operated under the belief that the act of bathing itself was enough to ward off illness. This ignorance led to a paradox. While they sought to purify themselves, they unknowingly participated in practices that could lead to disease transmission. The very act of gathering in communal spaces, where personal hygiene varied dramatically, often contradicted their notions of health. As you reflect on these practices, consider how they reveal the complexities of Roman society. The baths were spaces of social activity and connection, yet they were also places of vulnerability. The intertwining of genuine health-seeking behaviors with bizarre remedies paints a picture of a culture striving for balance, yet often veering into the realm of absurdity. The beliefs surrounding health and wellness in the Roman baths remind us that even in a society as advanced as theirs, the understanding of medicine was still in its infancy. Their commitment to bathing for health reflects a human desire for connection and well-being, but it also highlights the pitfalls of ignorance in the pursuit of knowledge. As we continue our exploration, we will examine the complexities of gender within the bathing culture, considering how social norms influenced the experience in the baths and the often hidden interactions that took place. As you step into the intriguing world of gender dynamics within the Roman baths, envision the heavy wooden doors opening to reveal a vibrant, bustling atmosphere. The air is thick with steam and laughter, and the scent of fragrant oils wafts through the corridors, inviting bathers to immerse themselves in relaxation and social interaction. Yet, as you observe the scene, it becomes clear that this seemingly open space was defined by strict societal norms that dictated who could bathe where and with whom. In many Roman bathhouses, bathers experienced a division that separated men and women, often into distinct areas. Imagine the men's section filling with boisterous laughter and animated discussions about politics, sport, and the latest gossip, while the women's area offered a more subdued environment, where the conversations revolved around family and domestic life. This separation was not just practical, it reflected the deeply entrenched gender norms of Roman society, where public and private spheres were strictly delineated. However, the reality was often more complex than it appeared. While it was common for men and women to bathe in separate spaces, there were occasions and specific bathhouses that allowed for mixed bathing. Picture the unexpected thrill as bathers crossed societal lines, navigating the blurred boundaries of gender norms within the steamy embrace of the bathhouse. In these moments, the bath became a space for subversion, where societal expectations could be challenged, if only temporarily. Yet, the presence of mixed bathing carried its own set of risks, often leading to scandal and gossip that could tarnish reputations. The existence of gender segregation in bathing practices illustrates the stark realities faced by women in Roman society. While some women enjoyed the luxuries of the baths, their experiences were often limited by societal pressures and expectations. The female bathers had to navigate a world of restrictions, where their freedom of movement was often curtailed by the need to maintain modesty and reputation. Imagine a woman entering the bathhouse, her heart racing as she navigates the stares of the men nearby, acutely aware of the societal judgment that loomed over her every action. Yet, within these confines, women found ways to forge connections and camaraderie. In the privacy of the women's sections, they shared not just gossip but also stories of motherhood, marriage, and the trials of daily life. The bathhouse became a sanctuary for women, a space to breathe and connect away from the watchful eyes of men. It was here that they could shed the burdens of their identities as daughters or wives, if only for a brief moment, and embrace their own agency. Despite the sense of empowerment, the paradox of gender dynamics within the baths emphasizes an important truth. The same space that offered relief and relaxation was also a site of societal control. The Romans believed that modesty and virtue were paramount, and public nudity threatened these ideals. As a result, women had to navigate a delicate balance between enjoying the luxuries of the baths and adhering to the strict moral codes that governed their behavior. As you reflect on the complexities of gender within the context of the Roman baths, consider how these dynamics influence the experiences of both men and women. The men, free to revel in their social standing, often overlooked the struggles faced by their female counterparts. Meanwhile, women found solace in shared experiences, fostering connections that transcended societal boundaries, even if just for a moment. Next, we will explore how bathing culture served as a political tool for the elite, revealing how emperors and powerful figures used these communal spaces to solidify their status and control the populace through leisure and indulgence. As you delve deeper into the world of Roman baths, imagine the grand marble structures rising majestically against the skyline, their impressive architecture symbolizing not just leisure but also power. These public baths served as more than mere places of relaxation. They were vital tools in the political arsenal of emperors and influential figures. Picture the bustling scene of bathersmen discussing politics, women sharing gossip while enveloped in a culture that was intricately tied to the machinations of power. The baths were places where social and political hierarchies intertwined, and emperors recognized this potent combination. Imagine Julius Caesar or Emperor Augustus strolling through the bustling corridors, greeting citizens with a smile, their presence lending an air of legitimacy to the gatherings. By associating themselves with the baths, emperors created an image of accessibility and benevolence, portraying themselves as benevolent rulers who cared for the well-being of their subjects. However, there was a stark reality behind this fade. While emperors used the baths to connect with the populace, they were also cleverly manipulating public perception. The baths provided an opportunity to project an image of power and control, reinforcing the emperor's authority through the very act of leisure. Picture bathers praising their rulers amidst the warm waters, their compliments echoing in the steamy air, while the emperor, draped in a toga, revelled in the adoration of the masses. This was a calculated performance, where the act of bathing became a political spectacle. But behind this glimmering surface lay a shocking truth. The very structures designed to promote well-being could also serve as venues for surveillance and control. Imagine the guards stationed discreetly, their eyes scanning the crowds for any signs of dissent or unrest among the bathers. The communal space, while ostensibly a sanctuary, was often a site where the social order could be maintained. Bathers, caught up in the warmth of relaxation, were also subject to the watchful gaze of those in power. Through the lens of the bathhouses, one can see how emperors employed the culture of bathing to manage public sentiment and consolidate their rule. The baths were a means of providing free services to the citizens, effectively securing loyalty and gratitude. By ensuring that the populace had access to luxuries such as heated pools and fresh water, emperors sought to foster goodwill and distract from the socio-political issues that may have troubled their reigns. In this environment, the power dynamics were palpable. While bathers enjoyed the warmth of the waters, they were also entwined in a web of political maneuvering, where every splash and ripple carried the weight of societal expectations. The luxury of the baths was a double-edged sword, offering comfort while simultaneously reinforcing the existing power structures. This paradox reveals how intertwined leisure and governance were in Roman society, and how the act of bathing became a tool of control. As you consider the political implications of bathing culture, it is essential to recognize the underlying tensions that characterize these interactions. The very spaces designed for relaxation were, in many ways, a theatre for power plays, where the emperor's presence loomed large over the assembled citizens. The warm waters that promised rejuvenation also served as a reminder of the delicate balance of power within the empire. Next, we will examine the role of the bathhouse as a community hub, exploring how it fostered social connections while also revealing the darker undercurrents of gossip and scrutiny that accompanied such communal spaces. As you immerse yourself in the vibrant life of the Roman bathhouses, envision them as bustling community hubs, alive with chatter, laughter, and the warmth of human connection. These majestic structures, adorned with intricate mosaics and towering columns, were not just places to cleanse the body, they were the very heart of social life in Roman society. Picture the scene, bathers of all walks of life mingling, their voices blending into a harmonious symphony of social interaction. The bathhouse was a space where friendships were forged, alliances were made, and the pulse of the city could be felt through every splash and ripple in the water. Within this lively atmosphere, the bathhouse served as a melting pot, where distinctions of class and status faded, if only temporarily. Imagine the wealthy senator lounging beside a humble merchant, both seeking respite in the soothing waters, their conversations often blurring the lines of hierarchy. The baths provided a rare opportunity for members of different social strata to interact, fostering a sense of community that was otherwise hard to achieve in the rigidly stratified society of Rome. Yet, amid this camaraderie lay a darker undercurrent. Gossip and scrutiny thrived in the steamy environment. As bathers shared stories and laughter, they also exchanged whispers, often laden with intrigue and scandal. Imagine the thrill of hearing a juicy piece of gossip about a senator's misdeeds or a scandalous affair unfolding in the very space meant for relaxation. The bathhouse, while a sanctuary from the outside world, was also a hotbed of social scrutiny, where reputations could be made or broken in the blink of an eye. The role of gossip in the baths cannot be understated. It was a social currency, a means of establishing connections and reinforcing bonds. Bathers would often engage in spirited discussions, sharing the latest news, which could range from political developments to personal tales of romance and betrayal. The warm waters, designed to cleanse the body, became an incubator for the exchange of information, some of it true, much of it exaggerated, and some simply fabricated. Consider how this culture of gossip served as both a unifying force and a source of division. While it fostered connections among bathers, it also created an environment ripe for scandal. The same individuals who loved together in the water could easily turn on one another, using shared knowledge to gain social standing or settle personal scores. The very essence of community in the baths carried the weight of scrutiny and judgment, reminding bathers that while they were united in their shared experiences, their reputations were always at stake. This duality of these bathhouses serving as a space for both connection and conflict highlights the complexities of human relationships in Roman society. The communal experience of bathing, often romanticized as a time of relaxation and bonding, was equally marked by the reality of social dynamics, where alliances shifted and fortunes changed with every whispered word. As you reflect on the role of the bathhouse as a community hub, it becomes clear that these spaces were not just about personal indulgence, they were a reflection of the intricate social tapestry of Roman life. The laughter that filled the air was often tinged with the knowledge that nothing was truly private in such a public space. The very act of seeking connection was interwoven with the risks of revealing too much, creating a delicate balance that bathers navigated with varying degrees of success. Next, we will turn our attention to the decline of the bath culture, exploring the various factors that contributed to its eventual downfall, and the nostalgia for a lost communal experience that lingered in the years that followed. As you reflect on the once vibrant world of Roman baths, it is essential to consider the myriad factors that contributed to the decline of this cherished cultural institution. Imagine a time when the bathhouses were alive with laughter, bustling with bathers of all social ranks, each seeking warmth and connection. Yet, over time, as the glories of the Roman Empire began to wane, these communal havens fell victim to changing circumstances. Picture the gradual transformation from lively social hubs to abandoned relics, where once the sound of splashing water echoed through the corridors, now only silence remained. Several factors led to the decline of the bath culture, starting with the economic troubles that plagued the empire. As the cost of maintaining such grand structures escalated, local governments struggled to keep up with the demands of public service. Imagine the once bustling baths. Their aqueducts drying up, their mosaics fading. This deterioration reflected the broader financial struggles of the empire. Bathhouses that were once a symbol of prosperity became burdensome liabilities, leading many to close their doors. Additionally, with the rise of Christianity, public baths faced a cultural shift that significantly impacted their popularity. The early Christian church viewed the baths with suspicion, associating them with moral decay and hedonistic behavior. Picture a group of early Christians standing outside the grand entrance of a bathhouse, decrying the excessive indulgence within. The idea of communal nudity and the social interactions that transpired in the baths became increasingly scrutinized. As more people turned to private rituals of cleanliness and piety, the once crowded bathhouses began to empty, their purpose fading into the background as new norms took hold. The decline of the bath culture also mirrored the societal shifts occurring throughout this late Roman Empire. As urban centers began to shrink and the population declined, many public spaces, including the beloved baths, fell into neglect. Imagine a once thriving community now scattered, as people fled to the countryside in search of safety and stability. The grand structures, once teeming with life, stood as ghostly reminders of a bygone era, their marble surfaces weathering the elements while the memories of laughter and connection dwindled. Even as the baths declined, a sense of nostalgia lingered among those who had once revelled in their warmth and camaraderie. Many Romans reminisced about the social connections forged in the depths of the hot waters, the friendships that blossomed, and the vibrant exchanges that marked their experiences. This longing for the past became a cultural phenomenon, as stories of the glorious baths were told and retold, weaving a tapestry of collective memory that celebrated the joys of communal bathing. Yet, this nostalgia was bittersweet. The yearning for the lively bathhouses reflected not only a loss of community but also a haunting recognition of the vulnerabilities that accompanied such spaces. The shared waters, once a source of connection, had become a symbol of a society grappling with its identity in the wake of change. As you imagine the remnants of the baths, now crumbling and silent, consider how they served as a mirror to the society that built and cherished them. The decline of the bath culture signifies more than just the loss of a communal practice. It marks a turning point in the narrative of Roman civilization, where public spaces and social interactions transformed alongside shifting values and beliefs. Moving forward, we will explore how the rise of Christianity reshaped the bathing culture entirely, transforming the once celebrated public baths into a more private and personal experience reflective of new societal norms. As you traverse the evolving landscape of bathing culture in the wake of the rise of Christianity, imagine a transformation unfolding that reshaped not just the practice of bathing but the very essence of community. The grand bathhouses that once teemed with life, laughter, and the mingling of bodies, now faced scrutiny and reinterpretation in light of new religious beliefs. Picture yourself walking into a bathhouse that was once a vibrant social hub, now quiet and tinged with the solemnity of changing times. In the early days of Christianity, the church began to view the public baths with suspicion. The communal nudity, the raucous laughter, and the mingling of social classes were seen as threats to moral purity. Imagine early Christians gathering outside the bathhouses, their discussions filled with passionate ideas about modesty, virtue, and the dangers of hedonism. The church preached a message that championed personal piety over public indulgence, advocating for a more subdued and individualized approach to cleanliness and spiritual health. Transformation was gradual but profound. The lavish public baths, once a central feature of urban life, gave way to smaller, more private bathing practices. Picture a woman preparing for a rare moment of self-care at home, filling a basin with warm water infused with herbs, a stark contrast to the communal experience of the bathhouses. Bathing became an intimate ritual, often reserved for the privacy of one's home, reflecting the changing values of a society that prioritized modesty and individualism over communal joy. This shift in bathing culture also mirrored the broader societal changes prompted by the rise of the Christian Church. With the decline of the Roman Empire, as cities crumbled and populations dwindled, personal hygiene practices adapted accordingly. The once cherished baths that served as social equalizers became relics of a past lifestyle, viewed with nostalgia but also with a sense of moral superiority. The Church's emphasis on personal purity and individual responsibility led to a new understanding of cleanliness that aligned with the ideals of modesty and dignity. However, the transformation was not without its complexities. While the Church's influence guided the decline of public bathing, it also ushered in the idea of religious and ritual baths, albeit in a more private context. Imagine early Christians engaging in baptismal rites, where the act of cleansing took on profound spiritual significance. This new form of bathing was imbued with symbolism, representing purification from sin and rebirth in faith. Yet, this was a far cry from the bustling, communal atmosphere of the public baths. The intimacy of individual bathing rituals lacked the vibrancy and social connections that characterized the Roman baths, leaving a void in communal experiences. You can almost sense the longing for the days when bathers soaked alongside one another, sharing laughter and stories now replaced by a more solitary pursuit of cleanliness that risked isolating individuals from their communities. As you contemplate this shift, it becomes clear that the transition from public to private bathing reflected a broader cultural realignment. The emphasis on individual morality and personal piety reshaped societal expectations, ultimately sidelining the communal spirit that once defined the bathing experience. The legacy of the grand Roman baths, once symbols of connection and shared humanity, echoed through the ages, reminding us of the delicate balance between public and private life. Moving forward, we will explore the legacy of Roman baths in later societies, examining how the influence of their bathing culture persisted even as new norms took hold and how the echoes of their grandeur can still be felt in modern bathing practices. As you reflect on the enduring legacy of Roman baths in the tapestry of history, imagine how the grandeur of these ancient public spaces rippled through later societies, influencing the way people viewed cleanliness, community, and leisure. While the collapse of the Western Roman Empire marked the decline of the public baths as they once existed, the cultural imprint they left behind continued to shape bathing practices and social interactions in centuries to come. Picture the early medieval period, where the remnants of Roman bathhouses stood as silent witnesses to a bygone era. As new cultures emerged and adapted to changing social norms, the influence of Roman bathing rituals persisted, albeit in altered forms. In the emerging Christian world, the association of water with purification remained strong, echoing the rituals of the baths, but now infused with spiritual significance. The Christian practice of baptism, for instance, drew upon the symbolic cleansing associated with the baths, transforming the act of washing into a profound ritual of faith and rebirth. However, the public aspect of bathing, so vibrant in Roman times, largely faded. Imagine communities now adopting a more modest approach, where private bathing became the norm rather than communal indulgence. The grand bathhouses that once served as social hubs slowly gave way to more isolated practices, reflecting a shift in societal values that prioritized individual virtue over public pleasure. The luxurious marble pools and elaborate mosaic floors were gradually replaced by simpler bathing arrangements in homes, signaling a retreat from the communal spirit that had once flourished. Yet, the essence of the Roman bathing experience did not vanish entirely. As you explore medieval towns and monasteries, consider how the knowledge of Roman engineering and architecture influenced the construction of new bathing facilities. While the grandiosity of the Roman baths was lost, smaller public bathhouses emerged, often attached to monasteries, where cleanliness was still viewed as a virtue. These spaces, though more modest, retained the communal aspect of bathing, allowing for social interactions, albeit on a smaller scale. Fast forward to the Renaissance, when a renewed interest in classical antiquity sparked a revival of the bathing culture. Imagine the excitement as scholars and architects looked back to the elegance of Roman baths, drawing inspiration from their designs to create new spaces that echoed the grandeur of the past. The emergence of spa towns and public bathhouses in Europe brought a sense of nostalgia for the communal bathing experiences of antiquity, where both health and social connection could once again flourish. However, the modern perspective on hygiene and health brought its own set of challenges. With the discovery of germs and the advent of modern plumbing, bathing practices evolved yet again. The concept of personal hygiene took center stage, leading to the creation of private bathrooms in homes and a decline in the popularity of public baths once more. The grand communal rituals of the Roman baths transformed into private moments of solitude, where the focus shifted to individual cleanliness rather than communal engagement. Yet, remnants of Roman bathing culture can still be felt in contemporary spa practices and wellness retreats. Imagine the luxurious experiences offered today, where elements of the Roman baths, the soothing warmth of saunas, the calming embrace of steam rooms, and the indulgence of baths are celebrated in modern wellness culture. The echoes of history resonate in the way we seek relaxation, connection, and rejuvenation, albeit in more private settings. In this sense, the legacy of Roman baths is a tapestry woven with threads of communal joy, individual solitude, and the enduring human desire for connection through water. The journey from public bathing to private practices reflects the shifting values across centuries, yet the core essence of seeking comfort, relaxation, and rejuvenation remains a timeless pursuit. Now, we will compare the ancient Roman bathing culture to contemporary spa experiences, examining how this fascination with communal relaxation persists amidst hidden historical truths and evolving societal norms. As you step into the modern world of spas and wellness centers, you can't help but feel the echoes of ancient Roman bathing culture resonating through the spaces designed for relaxation and rejuvenation. Picture yourself entering a contemporary spa, where the air is filled with soft music and the aroma of essential oils wafts gently around you. The ambience invites you to shed the stresses of modern life, much like the grand Roman baths once did centuries ago. Yet, as you immerse yourself in this experience, a fascinating comparison begins to unfold that highlights both the continuity and the evolution of bathing practices over time. In today's spas, you might find heated pools, steam rooms, and saunas reminiscent of the caldarium and tepidarium of the Roman baths. Imagine slipping into a warm pool, your muscles relaxing as you float, just as the Romans did in their opulent kisses. The allure of water, once celebrated as a source of health and connection, still holds sway over our collective consciousness, drawing people together in pursuit of wellness. However, while the communal aspect of Roman bathing was integral to social interaction, modern spa experiences often lean toward the individual. As you look around the spa, you might notice that many guests are in their own private worlds, lost in moments of solitude or quiet conversation. This shift reflects a modern emphasis on personal space and individualized experiences. Unlike the boisterous chatter of bathers in ancient Rome, the quiet intimacy of today's spa often prioritizes tranquility and reflection. You may catch whispers of conversation or laughter, but they are softened by the overall ambience designed for relaxation, a far cry from the vibrant social interactions that characterized the bathhouses of yesteryear. Yet, there are also stark contrasts in the very concept of cleanliness and hygiene that underpin these two worlds. The Romans, blissfully unaware of germs and disease, reveled in their communal bathing rites, often sharing not only the same waters but also the potential for illness. Contrast this with modern bathing facilities, where the emphasis on sanitation is paramount. The advent of modern plumbing, strict hygiene regulations, and the understanding of germs have transformed the way we approach bathing. Imagine the pristine, tiled surfaces and chlorinated waters of contemporary pools, where cleanliness takes center stage, ensuring that the luxuries of relaxation do not come at the expense of health. Still, some echoes of the ancient practices persist in our contemporary spa culture. The use of natural ingredients from essential oils to herbal infusions pays homage to the Romans' use of fragrant oils and concoctions to enhance their bathing experiences. Picture the soothing aroma of lavender or eucalyptus filling the air as you enjoy a massage, reminiscent of the oils used by Roman bathers to pamper themselves. This continuity reflects an enduring understanding of the therapeutic properties of scent and touch, connecting us to our ancient ancestors. Moreover, the modern spa experience often invites social connections, albeit in a different context. Picture yourself in a couple's massage room or a group yoga class, where relaxation is shared among friends or loved ones, echoing the communal spirit of the Roman baths. While the experience may appear more curated and individualistic, the desire to bond with others remains a core element of why we seek out these spaces. As you navigate the similarities and differences between ancient Roman baths and contemporary spas, it becomes evident that while cultures evolve, the fundamental human desire for connection, relaxation, and rejuvenation remains constant. The pursuit of wellness through water, be it in the grandeur of a Roman bath or the calming atmosphere of a modern spa, reveals a universal truth. We are drawn to water, not just for its cleansing properties, but for the comfort, community, and solace it provides. As we near the conclusion of our exploration, we will reflect on the unexpected comforts of ancient Roman baths, emphasizing the lessons learned from their glamorous illusions and stark realities and what they can teach us about our own practices of self-care and community. As you approach the conclusion of this journey through the world of ancient Roman baths, let's pause to reflect on the unexpected comforts they provided, even amid their stark realities. Imagine the grandeur of these vast complexes, where the sunlight streamed through ornate skylights, illuminating the glistening waters and intricate mosaics. They were places of beauty, social interaction, and communal rejuvenation, where people gathered to wash away not just the dirt of the day, but also the burdens of life. This captivating image often overshadows the uncomfortable truths lurking beneath the surface. In the midst of all the opulence, we must acknowledge the realities that accompanied this enchanting experience. The shared waters were often teeming with bacteria, the air thick with sounds of splashes and laughter, but also with whispers of gossip and the undertones of societal judgment. The very essence of communal bathing brought individuals together, yet also highlighted the disparities of status and the vulnerabilities of human nature. The Roman baths were a microcosm of society, reflecting both the beauty of connection and the complexities of social dynamics. Yet, these very contradictions bring forth an unexpected comfort. The Romans, in their pursuit of relaxation and socialization, unwittingly created spaces that allowed them to confront their humanity. Within the humid walls of the bathhouses, bathers found a shared experience that transcended social standing, revealing a fundamental truth about the human condition. We are all imperfect, navigating a world filled with noise, vulnerability, and connection. The act of bathing, despite its flaws, served as a reminder of the importance of community, empathy, and shared experiences in an increasingly complex world. As you think back on the rich tapestry of bath culture, consider how these lessons resonate today. The modern spa experience, though more sanitized and individualized, still aims to recreate that sense of comfort and connection. We seek solace in warm waters, the gentle touch of a massage, and the calm ambience of wellness retreats. While today's practices may differ from those of ancient Rome, the underlying desires remain unchanged: the need to relax, to connect, and to feel human. The unexpected comforts of the Roman baths extend beyond physical relaxation. They offer profound insights into our own practices of self-care and community. They remind us that, despite our individual journeys, we share a common human experience. The laughter, the shared moments, and even the discomforts we face in communal spaces teach us valuable lessons about empathy and connection. In closing this exploration, let us carry forward the understanding that while the Roman baths may have crumbled into history, their essence lives on in our contemporary practices. As we navigate the complexities of modern life, we can embrace the lessons learned from the past, cherishing the moments we spend in shared spaces, honoring the imperfections of our humanity and recognizing the importance of community in our pursuit of comfort and wellness. Now, take a deep breath and let the soothing imagery of the Roman baths wash over you one last time. Imagine yourself stepping into warm waters, surrounded by the laughter of friends and the gentle flow of conversation. Let this comforting vision remind you of the joys of connection and the timeless pursuit of relaxation, even amid the complexities of life.